All right. I do not know where my ponytail went, so that's cool. If you guys have music, you can turn it on. Otherwise, enjoy the silence. Quick chapstick. And we can get ready to rock and roll. Okay, so we're gonna start off in Sukhasana today. And oh, my phone's like, hey, yoga for hips started. Yeah, thank you. I know. All right. Oops. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and begin in Sukhasana, and we can practice a little self Reiki in a moment. Let's first go ahead and we can close our eyes or keep our gaze out soft. Rest your hands wherever they're comfortable. If you feel like you need a little bit of focus, you can take the mudra that you place. This is the thinking mudra. So you place the palms one on top of the one on top of each other, and bring the thumbs like you're creating a little like hole, little egg, and then you just kind of rest them in your lap. It helps to, so mudras help to channel energy. So if you imagine your focus is kind of like swirling here in this little ball. You can roll the shoulders down the back, lifting through the spine, feeling the chest rise. With each inhale and exhale, connect a little bit deeper to the breath. Allowing it to pass in and out through the nose, sending it through the chest, into the belly. You might start by checking in with the body, checking in with your joints, your muscles, how the hips feel, the back feels, your neck, your shoulders, your head. Just bringing awareness to the self. And again, you're just bringing awareness here. You don't have to force yourself to let something go, especially if you find it hard and feel yourself resist. If it doesn't want to be let go of, just acknowledge that it's there. And we'll see what happens when we check in at the end. You can check in with the heart space, seeing how you feel. Any emotions you're holding on to from the day. And again, not attaching to the source, just stating the obvious. There's a lot of activity today. I feel a little burnt out. I feel a little stressed. Or I had a good day. I feel good. I feel neutral. And then finally checking in with the mind, noticing what's going on in thoughts. Noticing the quality of your thoughts and the quantity, if there's quite a few of them. Maybe your thoughts make sense, or maybe they just sound jumbled together. Just noise building up in the head. Let's go ahead and start to channel some of that self Reiki. So again, you can continue to keep the eyes closed, but if you would like to open them, you're more than welcome to. Transition the hands, palms together, Anjali Mudra at the heart space. You're going to start by rubbing the palms together, building some friction, building some heat between the hands. You can move faster and faster if it feels all right, or you can continue a steady pace. Keep breathing. And then let's go ahead and bring the hands in stillness, bring them apart just a little bit. Still out in front of you at the heart space. And then notice what's going on in the palms. Maybe you feel tingly, or the heat building or bouncing off between the palms. It might even feel like a magnetic push and pull. You can visualize that energy building. You start by asking yourself, opening the door, I am a channel for healing energy. I have the power to heal myself. I have the power to heal others. And I ask for permission to channel this love and light energy in through myself, through my palms. If you would like to set an intention or create an affirmation or mantra for yourself, you can do so now. And imagine your little mantra between your hands, the feeling that it gives you, the motivation, the power, the happiness, whatever emotion it sparks. And then visualizing your chakra line. So starting from the top of the head, so the crown of the head, the third eye space between the forehead, or yeah, the forehead, the throat, the heart, the solar plexus between the heart and the navel, the sacral between the navel and the pelvis, the womb space, and then the root chakra at the base of your spine, the root of your pelvis. And then wherever you feel like that energy between your palms needs to go, bring your palms to that point on your chakra. You can do more than one. So one hand might go to the heart space, the other hand might go to the solar plexus, it might go to the sacral and the womb space. It might sit at the base of your pelvis. You put it on the forehead, the throat, or even hover just above the crown of the head. Your first instinct of where that energy needs to go, press it into the body. We can bring the hands back together at the center of the heart. And if your eyes were closed, maybe you bring a little smile to your face just to help release a little bit more tension. And you can blink the eyes open, and we're going to go ahead and start with some cat and cows, jumping right into it. So we're going to move onto our hands and knees, coming into tabletop pose. And you're going to go ahead and drop the belly, lift the gaze, curl the tailbone up towards the sky. Take your inhale in. And then exhale, round through the spine, pull the navel in, press the floor away from you. Inhale, drop that belly back into your cow pose, lift the gaze. Exhale into your cat back, navel into the spine. Inhale one more time back into your cow pose. If you want to add a little bit of movement, swaying the hips, leaning back, leaning forward. And then on your next exhale, run it back into your cat back. You can continue with the wiggling of the spine, finding that movement. Inhale, drop it back into your cow pose. And exhale, last time into your cat back. We'll release it back into our neutral tabletop. And then we're going to go ahead and add on to our cat and cow, getting into the hips a little bit more. Instead of focusing on extension and rotation, we are going to, this is going to be funky. In our tabletop, we're going to start bringing that left knee in just a little bit so that we can take the right leg and cross it back behind the left. Yes. That's exactly what I said. Okay. And now from here, you're going to go into your cat and cow. So you'll drop the belly, lift the gaze. Notice what kind of sensations you're feeling here. And maybe you feel a little bit of a pull in the left hip. And then exhale, round it into your cat. This one might feel a little funky. Inhale, back into your cow. Exhale, cat. We'll release it back to center and we're going to switch legs. So take the right leg in front and cross the left leg back behind. And then we'll go ahead and jump into the sides. You can drop the belly, lift the gaze back into your cow pose. Noticing how it feels a little different. Exhale into your cat. Inhale into your cow. Exhale, cat. And we'll release it back into our neutral tabletop, uncrossing the legs. And we're going to stretch through the wrists and the feet. So you're going to curl the toes under, coming into your toe squat, the dreaded toe squat. And you're going to start to ease your way onto your heels. Again, you can lean forward, just kind of settling the weight here, picking how much weight you want to apply. And you can come off and give your heels a break at any moment. While we're here, we're going to distract ourselves. We're going to start to rotate the wrists in one direction, and we're going to reach those arms up towards the sky. Keep the ribs tucked in just a little bit, trying to keep the spine nice and long. Inhale if you haven't already done so. Exhale, cactus the arms, pinch the shoulder blades back behind you. Maybe the gaze lifts up a little bit. Inhale, reach the arms back up to the sky, switch directions of your wrists. Exhale, cactus the arms one more time, open up through the chest. Inhale, reach the arms back up one more time. Exhale, release those hands down to the floor, uncurl the toes. You can pat the feet out if it feels good, wiggle the toes, wiggle, rotate through the ankles, whatever kind of movement here. And now we're going to go ahead and start really warming up. If you feel like you need a little bit more waking up of the wrists, you can flick the hands, really extending through those fingers and making this really dramatic. This helps to really like get the wrist pumped up. And now we're gonna go ahead and we're really gonna build some heat. So if your wrists hurt quite a bit, this is a great place for your blocks to kind of help with the palm situation. So you're going to use blocks to help lift up a little bit, because we're gonna come into a plank. You can choose to be on the knees here, because we're gonna be transitioning a little bit. If you feel like you could do the full shebang, you're more than welcome to lift those feet or those knees off the floor. We're not going to be here for too long. So you're going to press into the floor, really pressing it away if you're on the knees or if your knees are off the ground. You're going to extend the shoulder blades, imagining that space between the shoulder blades is like pulling up towards the ceiling. You're going to, oh my gosh, words. We're going to pull in the core, squeeze the glutes, nice and active through the legs. Keep breathing here. And if your knees were not lowered, go ahead and take the right knee down and kickstand it to the side, coming into side plank, supported side plank. So you're going to extend the left leg down long, reach the left arm up towards the sky. And again, the hands can stay on the block if you want to lift up a little bit higher. If you notice, if you can see me, you're almost collapsing down a little bit. So there's quite a big arch in the body. But if you were to come up on a block, you kind of lift and lengthen through the spine and create more space for the spine. So from here, we're gonna make our way back into our plank pose. So you're gonna move the back foot, so the left leg, over towards your side of the mat. Bring left hand down and rotate it back into your plank pose, either on the knees or the knees above, floating. And we're gonna lower the left knee down, switching sides, coming into our supported side plank on the left side now. Extending the right leg down long, right arm goes up to the sky. Bring that right hand down to the floor, rotate on the feet, coming back into your plank position. Jumping onto the right side again, bring that right knee to the floor, kickstand it into your supported side plank. And this time we can add on by lifting the right leg in line with the hip. And the left arm can sweep bicep along the ear, so the arms reaching up towards the top of the mat. And keep breathing. Bring that left foot back down to the floor, left arm down to the floor, back into your plank pose. Left knee down, supported side plank on the opposite side. Right arm extends up towards the sky, right leg extends down to the mat. If you would like to add on, you're going to lift that right leg in line with the hip, sweep the right arm bicep along the ear. And bring that right foot down, bring the right hand down, back into your plank pose. And go ahead and lower the knees if you haven't already, coming into Balasana, child's pose. Bring the big toes together, widen the knees as much as comfortable, and walk those arms down long on the mat, resting the forehead down. Sending the breath down to the belly. As you settle in here, you might be able to feel the hips start to open up a little bit. You might feel the chest pressing down towards the floor. Gravity pushing down on the hips and the spine. And let's go ahead and take one more full inhale and exhale here, full round of breath. On your exhale, you can press into the floor, walking those hands back in. And we're going to make our way into our first downward facing dog. So you can walk those hands down long on the mat, press the hips up and back, pedaling the feet, stretch out through the hamstrings and the calves a little bit more. Bend the knees as much as you need to here to lengthen the spine, pressing the chest towards the tops of the thighs. And then over time, you can straighten the legs if it feels all right. Squeeze those biceps along the ears. The creases of your forearms are facing each other. And we're gonna come into a three-legged dog. So you're gonna try to sweep that right leg up towards the sky. And we're gonna take that right foot and we're gonna step it up in between the palms. So you're gonna get those hips up as high as you can, lifting that foot up. Maybe you come up on the fingertips and you're gonna grab that foot and place it up in between the palms. You might need to adjust your stance here. We're coming into easy twist. This is a great place for a block on the first level, or even honestly any level. You can grab a hold of it. We're going to twist over towards the right leg. So the right arm is going to extend up towards the sky. Keep pressing into those feet, but still letting the hips drop down towards the floor. Now let's bring that right hand back down to the ground. Again, you might need to adjust your stance here. We're kind of coming into a high lunge, but we're going to add our twist. So if you can continue to turn over towards the right, you might be able to slowly let that hand lift off the floor, rising into your twist position. Right arm reaches back, left arm reaches forward. This one's pretty intense, so give yourself time and patience here. And transitioning into our Ashta Chandrasana, high lunge, reach the arms up towards the sky. Continue that bend in the right knee, pressing into those feet. Let's go ahead and straighten through the right leg. We're going to turn towards the side of our mat, coming into wide-legged forward fold. So both the feet are parallel with the short edge of the mat, hands to the hips, and you're going to fold forward, leading with the chest, and then releasing the hands, the crown of the head down towards the floor. This is a great place for your blocks as well, to take the hands and the arms out of the equation. So on any level, just giving yourself a place to land. You can have a micro bend of the knees. Let's go ahead and rise up halfway, bringing those hands out in front of you. Inhale if you haven't already. And on your exhale, you're going to fold and walk those hands up back towards the top of your mat, turning the feet. So now you're coming back into your little runner's lunge stance. I'm going to move my block out of the way. And we're going to transition into plank pose again. So plant down through the hands, step that right foot back. You can stay up with the knees hovering, or you can bring the knees down to the floor. We're gonna inhale, come forward. Exhale, lower all the way down onto the floor. We're gonna come into cobra, so plant the hands in line with the floor. No, plant the hands in line with the shoulders. Press into the tops of the feet and lift up. Exhale, release. And let's go ahead and curl the toes under. We're gonna press it up and back into our downward facing dog. From this down dog, we're gonna switch to the other side. So you're going to sweep that left leg up towards the sky. We'll bring that foot up in between the palms, making our way into our easy twist. My glasses just flew off my face, so give me a moment. Again, great place for your block here on this side as well if you did it on the first side. And we're gonna take the left arm, extend it up towards the sky, twisting over towards the left leg. And again, pressing into those feet, but still letting the hips drop down towards the floor. Now let's bring that left hand down to the floor, adjusting our stance a little bit. So you might need to walk that back foot in, making our way into our twisted high lunge. So again, taking your time here. Might start off by coming up onto the fingertips, finding your balance, and lifting up into your twist. And then making our way into our full Ashtanga Chandrasana high lunge. Nice bend in the left knee. Extension through the spine, through the hands. And then we're going to turn over to the side of the mat again, coming into our wide-legged forward fold. So you can straighten through the left leg, pivoting onto the feet, pivoting the feet so you're parallel with the short edge of your mat. Bringing your hands to the hips, and you can fold forward again, releasing the hands and crown of the head. And you can stay here in stillness, but if you would like to add on, you can sway a little bit, finding some movement. Wiggling through the spine, bending one knee, straightening the other, whatever really feels good here. Free flowing movement. We'll find some stillness coming back in through center. Let's come into our wide-legged halfway lift. So you're going to walk the hands out a little bit. You can bring the hands to the thighs if that feels good, to lengthen the spine. Take your inhale in if you haven't already. Exhale, fold, and we're going to take the palms and walk them up to the top of the mat. Back into our runner's lunge stance. Making our way in through chaturanga, you're going to step that left foot back to meet the right. And here we'll add on, if you would like to, you can do your lower all the way and come into cobra, or you could inhale, lower halfway, or again, all the way down. Inhale, press it up into your cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale, make your way back into our downward facing dog. Round of breath here in this down dog. Oh dang, I just skipped like a whole bunch of stuff. It's okay, we can add on. So we're gonna take that right foot and we're gonna sweep it up to the sky into our three-legged dog one more time. I know this is tough, but I swear one day it gets easier. Take that right foot up in between the palms again. And then we're gonna turn, we're gonna come into Skandasana. So you might have to press into the feet, rise all the way up, make your adjustments here. This is probably the easiest. So almost like we're coming into that wide-legged forward fold stance. This time you're gonna keep the feet pointed out like you're coming into goddess. But we're taking Skandasana, or ninja pose is the unofficial name that I've heard it called. Don't quote me on that one though. We're gonna bend into the right knee. And this is a real deep lunge, little deep side lunge. You might be able to bring the hands to the floor, the heel might come up. You can grab your blocks to add some height. And then that left foot, the toes are gonna point up towards the sky, or you can point them. Kind of depends on how your aesthetic, you know. The toes flex back towards the face. Have a lot of engagement, but pointing the toes is also just as hard. So depending on where you're at, you might just hang out here. Letting that inner thigh, the adductor, really open up. And let's go ahead. We're gonna press into the floor. So press into that right foot, straightening both the legs. Go ahead and bend into the left side now. And we're gonna switch over to the opposite side. Again, those toes are gonna point up towards the sky, or you can point them outwards. I find pointing a lot harder for some reason, but if you only practice one thing, the opposite's gonna be tough. So sometimes it's good to do a balance of both. Let's go ahead and bring those hands sturdy here. We're gonna press into the left foot, again, straightening both legs. And we're gonna turn, coming into that runner's lunge stance with the right foot leading now. So turning back towards the top of your mat. And you're gonna come into, low lunge, Anjaneyasana. And instead of, kind of letting this be passive, we're gonna make this real active. So you're gonna rise all the way up. You might need to walk that foot in a little bit so you can get your little perfect square here. And this is gonna be real active. So square your hips off to the top of the mat. You're going to lift all the way up instead of letting gravity, do the work here. We'll get there in a moment. But I want you to tuck the pelvis and pretend like you can visualize you dragging the right heel back towards you and pushing the left thigh forward. So you're bringing the heel and the thigh almost in towards each other. There's a lot of activation, a lot of fire building in the thigh. And the hands can rest wherever's comfortable, either at the heart, you can keep them at the hips to feel that tuck of the pelvis. And you're squeezing everything you got, man. Pulling the core to help protect the lower back and lengthen the spine. You might even be able to engage the pelvic floor on top of that. They go hand in hand. And keep holding, keep breathing here. And let's go ahead and relax all that tension. You might need to walk that front foot out a little bit so you can start to kind of relax and let the hips open up. The hands can stay on top of the knees, but if you have your blocks handy, you can always grab them and let gravity do the work here. Either way. Continue to engage the belly and the pelvic floor to help the lower back. Let's go ahead and straighten the right leg coming into half splits, Ardha Hanumanasana. And you can grab your blocks here if you have them handy. Even one block is better than no blocks, or the hands can come to the floor. You can keep the toes pointed again, or you can flex them back towards the face. Try to square the hips off of one another so you're not pressing over to the left too much. And you can always have that micro bend in the knee, bending the knee as much as you need to. Let's go ahead and re-bend back into that right leg, transitioning back into our downward facing dog. So you're gonna curl the back toes under, plant the hands down, step that right foot back to meet the left. We're gonna inhale, come forward into our plank, coming into our chaturanga. Take the knees up or down. Inhale, exhale, lower halfway or all the way down. Inhale, press it up into your cobra or up dog. Exhale, back into your down dog. Jumping into the second side, sweep that left leg up towards the sky. Bring that foot up in between the palms. Is that what we did? Oh yes, and we're just gonna jump right into our Anjaneyasana low lunge. You're gonna lower the left knee down, making your space, rising all the way up. Again, you might need to walk it in a little bit to create that nice square. And again, lengthen the spine, drag that left heel back, press the right thigh forward, like you're pulling them in towards each other, tuck the pelvis, lengthen the spine, a lot going on here. And just squeeze and engage like your life depends on it. And let's go ahead and release that tension. Might need to walk that front foot out just a little bit so that you're focusing. So if you, let's say your leg's too far in, that knee, again, if your knees are good, it's not a big deal, but try to stack that knee over the ankle as much as you can. And again, the hands can stay up on the knee, letting the hips relax and drop forward, letting gravity do the work. Still engaging the core. And let's go ahead and straighten the left leg, coming into our half splits, our Hanumanasana on the left side now. Grabbing your blocks if you use them on the first side, squaring the hips off of one another, and trying to fold and hinge as much as you can from the hips. Let's go ahead and rebend back into the left leg, making our way back into our downward facing dog. You're going to curl the toes under, step the left foot back to meet the right. Optional vinyasa here. You can come forward into your chaturanga if you please, or you can stay here in down dog. I'll run through it just in case. You'll inhale in your plank, knees up or down. Exhale, lower halfway or all the way down. Inhale, press it up into your cobra or up dog. And exhale, meet me back, downward facing dog. Let's go ahead and bring that right knee up behind the right wrist, coming into a pigeon pose. And you're gonna go ahead and settle in here for a few breaths. You can keep that left leg extended, the left leg back long. If you would like to modify a little bit here, you can bring and bend into the left knee, coming into like almost like a square pose, making your adjustments as you need to. And then you'll continue to fold forward over that right leg, just as you would in your full pigeon. It is a little bit more accessible and a little bit gentler without bringing all of that tension into the hips like in full pigeon. It's entirely up to you, especially if those hips are really tight. Sometimes the variations feel so good, especially if you're trying to get into a certain place. Again, with that knee rotated, the back leg rotated a little bit, bent, it takes all of that tension and pressure out of the pelvis. And you can always roll over into the extended swan pose variation with the leg extended behind you. You can grab your block where you need it. You can stay up on the hands, come on the forearms. And if it feels good, you can come all the way down onto the backs of the hands or even the floor. Sending the breath into the hip space. Seeing if you can melt into it, releasing the tension. And if you find it hard to fight that tension, or the tension just seems like you can't settle in, you might need to back out a little bit. Let the hip open up and then see how you feel. You're clenching your jaw. See if you can soften it. And let's go ahead. We'll start to press into the floor before we come out of this pigeon pose. If you had the leg extended, you might be able to, so you might have to walk it in a little bit. That right heel is going to go really close to the left hip. And see if you can bend into the left knee, the left leg, and maybe you can reach back with the right hand and grab the left foot and try to bring the heel into the glute, getting a little quad stretch here. I find myself compensating a lot, so a block to help lift up through the spine helps a lot. Or you can focus on, instead of reaching, just bending that knee and trying to bring it into the glute. Both awesome options here, depending on what your goal is. You can reach the foot, awesome. But even if you're trying to practice reaching for the foot, bringing that knee or bringing that heel into the glute is awesome. You can go ahead, gently release that left leg. And instead of jumping back into down dog and jumping into the second side, we're going to rotate through those hips. So if you weren't on the right hip, go ahead, come down onto it. We're going to start to windshield wiper the legs, and we're going to transition into the left side. So if you keep that leg bent, you're already there. It's pretty cool. Already ready to rock and roll into your folded variation of pigeon. But if you'd like to continue to add on, you extend the right leg now, making sure that the hips are even. And you start to settle in either variation. you can start up on the fingertips and maybe make your way down to the elbows. And if it feels good, you might be able to bring the forehead to the backs of the palms or even the floor. And try to settle in here. This really deep hip opener. Trying to soften as much as you can. One side might always feel different than the other. It could be way more intense, or it could be way easier. Send your breath into the spaces you feel like you need it the most. Let's go ahead and press into the floor, rising back up onto the palms. And again, if you are able to, if you can pop back up onto with the right leg extended, you might be able to bring that right heel in towards the glute. And then you might be able to grab a hold of that foot, bring it in towards the glute a little bit more. Quad stretches sometimes make me want to scream. I don't know what it is about them. They're just so intense. So take your time, man. Give yourself space to adjust and let them open up. And puppies are a big muscle. And gently release the right foot. And we're going to go ahead. Yes. We're going to make our way onto our backs. So you can come down onto the left hip, swing that right leg up in front of you, extend the right leg or the left leg down. So now both your feet should be up on the top of the mat. You can straighten them out. You can windshield wiper the legs if it feels good to just get some blood and some movement back into them. And then we'll make our way all the way down onto the back. You can crank that spine. And we're gonna start to settle down before we get to Shavasana. Oh yeah, we got time, we're good. We're gonna come into Supta Baddha Konasana, butterfly, reclined butterfly. So you're gonna bring those feet in towards the sit bones, so the glutes here. With the soles of the feet together, you're gonna drop the knees open if it feels good. And the heels can be really close to the glutes, or you can take them a little bit further out. And play around with the depth here where you really feel it. The hands can rest on the belly. You can keep them down by your sides, or you can make a figure eight up overhead, interlacing the fingers. Whoops. Getting a little chest stretch too. As you start to soften here, you might notice the breath starting to slow down. If the arms were up overhead, go ahead and bring them back down by your sides. Engage the core a little bit to bring the knees back in together. And toe heel those feet to the outside edges of the mat to knock the knees in, just for a little counter rotation. And if there's any other movements that you would like to do before we enter Shavasana, now is a fabulous time to fit them in. Maybe some twists or you can extend the legs up the wall, extend the legs up to the sky without the wall. Take happy baby. Whatever feels good. And then whenever you're ready, you can extend those legs down long on the mat, taking up space, making your way into Shavasana. Grab a blanket, your sweatshirt, your socks, make yourself comfortable. Roll the shoulders down the back, arms down by your sides, palms shining up towards the sky. Allowing the breath to slow down to a normal pace. You can soften the gaze or close the eyes. And soften the space between the eyebrows, the corners of the eyes. Maybe the jaw comes away from the roof of the mouth. The tongue comes away from the roof of the mouth, and you soften through the jaw. Allow your body to process everything we've just done. And enjoy your few moments of doing absolutely nothing. No phone, no stimulation. Being here in this moment. Our body's pressing against the floor. Let's go ahead and start deepening the breath. I wish I could let you stay here for longer. You can start by wiggling fingers and toes. Rolling out the wrists and the ankles. Reach the arms up overhead for a full body stretch. And if it feels good, you can turn to one side, pausing in a little fetal position, or turning to press it up into Sukhasana or another comfortable seated position. I'm going to pop up onto my knees. Taking a moment to check in one more time. Seeing how you're feeling after our practice. Noticing how you feel in the body, in the heart space, and the mind. And you can bring the hands together at the center of the heart for Anjali Mudra. Giving thanks to yourself for showing up on the mat. Making time for you to move your bodies. You were awesome for just being here. And I'd like you to say one positive affirmation about yourself inside your head or out loud if you're comfortable. Our practice is never ending. Show yourself the grace that you deserve. If you would like, you can join me in a chant of Om one time. You do not have to participate, but if you would like to, go ahead and exhale everything out of your lungs. Inhale deeply to chant. Big breath in. Oh. You may bow forward if you would like.